is Krista and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll be making a baked tofu tossed with some sweet potato noodles and mixed veggies. It's almost a one-pot meal, but it's quick and easy. What you'll need is a package of sweet potato noodles. We won't be using all of it, just maybe about a bundle. Sweet potato noodles are made from the starch of sweet potato, bell peppers. These are baby, and we'll preheat our oven since it indicated to me, and at 400 degrees so we can bake our tofu. A couple pieces of pineapples. We'll dice those up in a decent size. You'll need maybe a cup of chickpeas, some bean sprouts, and of course tofu, and other vegetables if you desire to have. What I'll primarily have in my dish today is garlic, scallion, and a red onion, which we'll saute lightly in order to toss that in with our boiled sweet potato noodle to give it a nice little crunch once you're eating it. I'll show you exactly what I mean by a bundle. So once you can get a decent handful, like your fist can hold around it, that'll be sufficient for you. I'm cooking a little bit for tonight's dinner and maybe lunch for tomorrow. We'll save the rest. You can keep them under cool and dry condition. Honestly, you could just leave them in your pantry. This is exactly enough for 2 meals. Once it's boiled, it will expand, it will stretch. So at this time, we'll add some water to our skillet, and we'll turn our heat up to medium-high. And we have already separated our sweet potato noodles. This is about a bundle and a quarter of sweet potato noodles. Once it's boiled and softened, we're gonna cut these with a scissor. And that will be sufficient for 2 servings. We are boiling about 2 cups of water with a pinch of salt. We are going to add our bundle and a quarter of sweet potato noodles. We'll just place it in water. Don't do as I did. Get yourself a pair of tongs. Doesn't exactly have to be metal, but it will begin to soften once the water and the heat is starting to melt it down. And as you'll see, they're extremely translucent. There's a couple of things I do love about sweet potato noodles. 1, the fact that it absorbs whatever flavor you toss them in. 2, they cook extremely fast. So this will take about anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes to cook. You'll keep your heat on medium heat. We'll start to toss it in our water a little bit just to get it completely submerged. In the meantime, we'll begin dicing up our tofu to place on a flat tray or baking container to be baked. Tossed with some salt, pepper, biber, which is like a red chili pepper powder, just to give it a little bit of kick. And we'll bake those for maybe about 15 to 20 minutes. I like pressing out my tofu on a piece of napkin. Remove it from the container and we'll wrap it in a little bit more napkin. What I do is kind of press out majority of the moisture. Not too much of the moisture, but majority of it. Turn that over. See how much moisture comes out of that? A bit. Okay. That looks good to me. Now we'll try to be fair with our dicing. Turn it on the side. That's typically easier for me. And I'll try to cut it down the middle first. Then that flat again, and we'll cut it in. You can use your knuckles. If you didn't know that your knuckles apart from each other, depending on how small or how large your hands are, they're about 1 inch away. So we'll do 1 inch squares. So I can typically eyeball that. And we'll try to keep that together again. See, it's good sizes. And we can make them this big. That'd be good. It's because once the tofu is baked, it's gonna shrink in size. So you don't wanna make them too small or too large, just enough. So these aren't exactly squares. They kind of look like not triangles, but rectangles. And that looks good to me. We have a bowl to toss our already diced tofu into. So we'll put them in the bowl, break them apart a bit. And even though we've dried out most of the moisture from the tofu, as you were cutting it, some of the moisture still came out. And we'll clean our little nice cutting board. Get that cleaned. There we are. First, we will add, making so much noise, a bit of red pepper. Not too much. I'll toss that over it. You don't want the tofu to have too much flavor, just enough flavor. You're not too spicy, because you might be cooking for someone that does not exactly like spicy food. And we'll add a bit of sea salt to that. We'll shake that over it. Not too salty. So we'll be adding some liquid aminos, pad thai sauce, and some stir-fry sauce, and all those things already contain a bit of salt in them. What we'll do right now is get us some utensils to go ahead and kind of toss our tofu around in, and try to avoid breaking them apart. Now we will line our baking container with some wax paper. We'll place our already diced and seasoned with some red chili pepper flakes and a bit of salt into our container. Separate them a bit. Just make sure they're not stuck together. Give them enough space. And we'll place them in our oven. Begin to cut up our sweet potato noodles. To be honest, it doesn't matter where you cut them as long as you cut them, but not too many times. You don't want them to be like tiny rice bits. We'll begin cutting our vegetables. Kind of do this with our veggies. Get them nice and take out that section. These are actually really nice sweet potatoes. They're called sweet potato minis. I purchased them from our local farmer's market. And you really don't have to cut these in any particular way. I like them done in large chunks. We'll use a spoon to get the seeds out of it and the middle section out of it. Do something like this. Kind of scrape it just to get the middle section and those seeds out. These are actually really sweet. Like, you can actually taste the sweetness in these. Sometimes I even Cut these up just the same in long sections like carrot sticks and eat them with my hummus. I also purchased freshly made hummus from the local farmer's market, which I get a lot more. Alright, we're almost there. We'll put these in a container. Doesn't necessarily have to be a big container, just to get them off of our workspace. We'll just cut those in decent sized cubes. We will not cut those too small, just decent sized cubes. That's enough. We'll get those off of our counter. Awesome. I love, absolutely love red onions. There is something about the taste and flavor of a red onion. Put that over there. And we'll cut this way. And keep cutting like that until use all of our onion in this one dish. Let's just use some of it. Cut them in large chunks, and that's it. That's all we'll do with our onions. While our tofu is being baked for 15 minutes, we'll set our timer. As a little guidance, we don't want to forget those in there. Have you ever had burnt tofu? It's not good. We'll take 1 clove of garlic and we'll mash that down and dice that up to add to our sauteed veggies that we just got done cutting. And saute them lightly. We'll add in our onions. Toss this for a little bit. Go in and add our sweet potato noodles. Take those out with a tongs. And so we'll be opening some pad thai sauce. Not plenty, just exactly about a teaspoon. You can smell all those great flavors. We'll add some stir-fry sauce. And again, we'll just use maybe about 2 teaspoons of that for sure. Last but not least, we'll add some liquid aminos. And we'll cut up some kale. I really love this type of kale. It always has some soft consistency and crunchy at the same time. We'll saute that just a bit. We'll rinse our kale and just cut these ends off. We won't be using those. And we'll just cut them in. Nicely sauteed. Our other surprise is to add some pine nuts. We'll just toss a bit of pine nuts on top of that. That looks absolutely amazing. We are almost finished. We'll take another look at our tofu.